What the social media world is losing focus on is the Cassie Ventura versus P. Diddy relationship. No. Yeah, the smut, the porn, everybody's all involved in it. What the prosecution by design is trying to do is elicit her testimony to prove one of the two predicates or lend evidence that the law was broken, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, bribery, witness tampering, drug crimes. If the federal prosecution can prove two of those, the RICO case is made and he's going to get convicted. That's my take, where I think everybody's getting lost in the Jerry Springer back and forth. Oh my God, I can't believe the dirty laundry. The federal prosecution doesn't care about Cassidy Ventura. She's there under subpoena. They're trying to bring a RICO indictment saying that this guy violated the law. And here is the other big issues to me as to why the amended or superseding indictments, if you remember back in April, the feds brought a superseding indictment, meaning they amended the indictment, brought additional charges. And this is why this is important, because they added two additional counts. One, the sex trafficking, and number two, this is where Combs could get hit, transportation to engage in prostitution. If they have evidence, whether it's via Cassidy, these escorts or whomever, that he was providing, i.e. flying in prostitutes, escorts, boom, there's one case of the underlying two predicates that you need for the RICO. That's made. Check the box. It didn't have anything to do with Puff Daddy beating Cassidy. It doesn't have anything to do with 1 million bottles of baby oil. You've just checked one of the boxes. What's going to happen, and I think what's going to be the interesting part, is when we get to the end of this trial, the jury's going to have to hear the legal definition of all of these crimes. It's going to be in a jury instruction that's given to the jury, and it's going to be printed out. Okay, here is the federal prosecutor's burden. Racketeering, X, Y, and Z. But then it's going to say, if you find not that the federal government was able to prove that Puff Daddy was in a consensual relationship or not, or battered Cassie Ventura. No, it's going to say, here's the legal definition of sex trafficking. Here is the legal definition of kidnapping, which, by the way, is not exactly all that hard to prove. It's like almost a false imprisonment standard. Bribery could be drug crimes. Most importantly, here's the legal definition of a transportation to engage in prostitution. If the jury goes down those different crimes and checks just two of the boxes, Puff Daddy's going away for more than 20 years. Now, the defense is doing a good job. You can feel the momentum of social media anyway. We're not in the courtroom. We don't know what's happening, but they're beating up Ventura. They're beating up the lay witnesses to say, hey, this sounds like everybody was just a part of these giant orgies and you were all there for your own. So what's the harm? What's the foul? That's not the case. The case is going to come with those jury instructions. It's going to come with the judge reading out the elements of the crime. Prosecution's going to go back in closing argument and they're going to hammer the jury. That's all we have to do, is our burden is to prove two of this list. If you find two, your jury then must be one of guilt. On the other hand, the defense is going to go in there and say, what has the prosecution done? They're trying to convict my client by a bunch of inferences, by a bunch of salacious testimony, but where is the underlying crime? In my opinion, I think it's going to be a battle in closing. The defense is going to try to say, hey, it's too vague, it's not clean, you haven't heard any admissions, you haven't heard any direct evidence, all you've heard is salacious, craziness coming out of the bedroom. Prosecution's going to say, that's not our case. Prosecution's going to bring him back to the middle, and they're going to say he's flying in escorts, paying them for freak-offs. That is the very definition of a transportation to engage in prostitution. Check. One crime down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all I have to prove to you is that Sean Combs acting as the enterprise. Remember, we are not going after Sean Combs just as an individual. We're treating him as a business and an enterprise. Now, all I have to prove to you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is one of these other crimes that we're suggesting he committed, all of them. If you can prove two underlying predicates, he goes down as a guilty verdict. And that's the dangerous game that he's playing. And that's why I think social media is missing it, because, oh my God, did you hear about this and this and that? The baby oil and all this nonsense is just supporting the fact that these things actually happened.